Hi, and welcome everybody to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. It's Tuesday, October the 3rd, and I'm back with my two cohorts, the guys I call the geniuses, Mr. Jesse Schule and Mr. Sean Higgs. And you're watching the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel, sponsored by Gamblers World. And you can find all of us at gamblersworld.net. That's where you get your picks guaranteed. If you don't make a profit, you don't win. We credit your account back the exact amount of your purchase price. And with the quality of handicappers there, most times than not, that's going to be a moot point, but you'll have that personal guarantee, and that should give you a peace of mind. And once you get that money credited back, if you pick a handicapper that loses on that particular day or on a subscription plan of 30 days or less, you can use that at any time you want, that money on anyone you want. If you lose with me, you don't have to stick with me. If you lose with Jesse, you don't have to stick with Jesse. You could buy from Sean. And speaking of Sean, he's coming off an 8-1 Sunday, I believe. Right, Sean? Tremendous day for Mr. Higgs.
8-1,
tell the
pretty
folks,
good day.
Fill the folks in how the rest of your weekend went, and Major League Baseball playoffs coming up, Sean. Sure you're excited about that as well.
Yep, baseball loaded up. I got today's games for Tuesday already up on the site. Again, NFL with the Thursday game, I think I went 9-3 for the NFL weekend. Pretty good there. And glad to turn. Like, I had been scuffing along, right? I had we're 5-6, we're 6-5, we're just ho humming. So it was good to break out. And college football, pretty good. Grinding out a little money there as well. So I take a little bit. I'm not the 60+% crew like you and Jesse, but I grind along to make a little bit. I'll take it. And a win is a win to me. 55.
At the end of the day, if you're a volume handicapper at 54, 55%, and I'm not saying that that's what your goal is, right? But even at that number, you're going to make just as much money as me and Jesse at 60, 61%.
And that's the thing. So, I'm happy with that. I tell people, hey, 54, 55%, I'm making money, and they look like, that's not good. Well, it is good when you're betting 200 games of college football or NFL or 500 college basketball games. It's
exactly. And if you don't think it's that good, folks, try doing it on your own with that many picks. So that's all I can tell you. The only thing I would, again, we have to be transparent on this channel. If Sean goes on a bad run and you just started with him, that's why money management is a key, because you don't want to bury yourself to the point where you can't make another bet. So be smart.
I mean, 20. You go 22 and 21 or 20 and 23. That little juice adds up. Even at whether it's $10 a game, $100 a game, or if you're doing a dime a game. It kind of.
God forbid you go 9 and 20 in 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or 9 and 20 over a 3-day period. If somebody's banging away at the same amount of money they are with me and Jesse, you're going to get crucified, and then it's hard to climb out. And most times than not, after that happens, you're going to lessen your bets, and then Sean goes 15-1, and you're even. So my point being is, when you're dealing with a volume handicapper, you might have to lower your per game bet. Is what I would advise. And I think that I won't get any argument or disagreement with Sean when it comes to that. So Sean, I can't speak for you.
Absolutely. You have to. I lower my bets. Like, baseball hasn't been good September. Am I coming in going over the top before playoff games? Say no. There's small little bets. I'm just going to grind away. I have a Snell Cy Young future and a Strider win future that'll bump me into the plus side of things for the year. But otherwise, I'm not saying, well, it's a new season. It's postseason. I'm going to all of a sudden hit 80% of my baseball. No, just grind a little bit. It is. You don't get greedy.
It's possible, though. It's possible.
I've
had bad regular seasons and killed it in the playoffs. And not only Major League Baseball, but the other major sports as well. It happens, and it could vice versa. You could have a terrific regular season and a so-so, if not poor, playoffs. So it's just the way it is, folks. Nobody wins all the time. I've been talking about my streaks of late, but these guys will tell you, those kind of streaks that I'm on right now, everything bounces your way. Where if you're struggling, it just seems like you lose those games like that. Guys, correct or not, Jesse?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I suffered a little bit of regression to the mean on Saturday. Perhaps I was in a bit of a letdown spot. I had gone perfect the previous 2 Saturdays, 9-0, two Saturdays leading up to this Saturday, and suffered a setback. Went 1-3. I sort of it felt kind of ominous heading into Saturday. I was a little bit worried about things, and sure enough, I was humbled, but perhaps move on, learn from that. I bounced back Sunday with a winning card with NFL, and ready to move forward and learn. Let's learn from our mistakes, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Saturday was a tough card. I mean, I won on Saturday, but I think more of that. I don't like when you use that word fear, because you're not fearful of anything. I mean, that means you're betting scared. I think in our conversations, we both indicated that we thought that Saturday was a tough card. It was. It wasn't one of those cards where stuff jumped off the page at either one of us.
Both Sean and I like to put our bets in a week ahead of time, take advantage of some soft lines, get good closing line value, and occasionally, 9 times out of 10, that's going to work in my favor. But occasionally, I end up sitting there on a Friday night thinking, man, I'm not really happy with the stuff I bought 5 or 6 days ago. You know what I mean? It doesn't look as good to me now as I thought it would at this point, and that's where I felt on the Friday night was.
Or on occasion, like Sean likes to use the term, you got a bad number. Meaning when he says that, he's indicating that because he put stuff in early, that he would have been better off waiting. But like Jesse just alluded to, the majority of the time when these guys do that, they're getting good numbers, which means if you got her in early and you're getting a +6, and now on Friday it's +3.5, you got a good number because you put it in early. So guys are good at that, and these two guys are. That's not my style, but whatever works for you. It's nobody. Look, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and that's, I hate using that phrase, but it's true. And in any event, I lost last night, but I'm 38-13 now since September 4th, and somewhere around 86-48 or something like that since I got it written down here somewhere. 87-49 since August the 4th. So I've been on a good roll for a couple months now.
College football being my birthday, so I should get credit for that.
Well, there you make my good luck charm, my man. 16-3 the last 3 weeks of college football. 5-0 with my college football top plays this year. I had 2 of them last week. I had Oregon State on Friday. We all liked Oregon State, as a matter of fact. And we all were on the shore. No, Sean didn't have Cleveland. Me and Jesse got burned on that Cleveland on Sunday. I went 3-1 the NFL on Sunday.
I had the Browns.
Yeah, you had the Browns as well. That was your only loser then. Yeah. And Deshaun Watson, they tell us an hour before game time he's not starting.
I heard they give out bad beat refunds for things like that. Isn't that right, Sean?
Yeah, bad beat refund. I'm really undefeated. I gotta write into the chats to give me a win on the websites for that.
That's right.
That one doesn't count. I can't take much more of the Giants being thrown in our face on prime time. But boy, talk about just an absolute mess. I mean, they can't protect.
I was wrong on the Giants. I thought they'd surprise this year. I was like, oh, the Giants, yeah. And again, the Redskins helmet and the Cowboy fan saying I thought the Giants would surprise this year.
Yeah. Both Sean and I said we liked the Giants yesterday, but we both agreed that it wasn't worth betting on the game, and perhaps that was the best bet of all, is just not placing the bet, right?
Right, and they embarrassed by the Niners. You figure extra prep, they're angry, they're home Monday night, come out a little fire, some trickery, something to get a little spark going. I'm glad I didn't play
it. Yeah, I mean, Daniel Jones got sacked 10 times last night, I think.
11 sacks.
11 times. Wow.
What's the Miami line? Has it moved? It was 10. I got Miami -10.
Yeah, it opened at 9.5. I know that. And it's I looked at it. I took the over last night. I lost. And we're transparent here on this channel. And I just looked at the fact that Seattle had given up over 300 yards passing in each of their first 3 games. Yep. And the Giants, the one time they didn't play an elite defense was Arizona, and they threw for over 300 in that game and had over 400 yards of total offense. But if you don't protect the quarterback, it means nothing, So in any event, let's get to. We're going to be talking about 3 games today. Sean's looking at the Red River rivalry between Oklahoma and Texas. Jesse's going to look at a real intriguing matchup. Notre Dame will be traveling to Louisville to take on the undefeated Cardinals. Again, Notre Dame, another extremely tough game. I'm back-to-back on the road. We'll see what Jesse has to say about that. I'm going to be looking at my beloved Syracuse Orange at North Carolina, and I think you're going to be surprised what I'm going to do with that game. But before we get to that, just a friendly reminder, folks, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, take a second to do so. If you're on your PC, you'll see that WC logo in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Just click on that. And if you're on your mobile device, you'll see the black subscribe button right underneath the video box. Click on that. It's absolutely free to do so. There's no strings attached. There's no hidden agenda. Absolutely free. And you're privy to some of the best handicapping information you'll find anywhere on the internet. I'm a little biased. I'm going to say we're the best sports betting podcast, especially in this format, you're going to find anywhere. And I think I can make a strong argument for that. In any event, I also like to thank all of you out there we went over 11,000 subscribers last week. And it showed it's a little over 3 years old. So all of us are quite pleased with that. And we also topped 1 million views. So those of you wise guys out there that criticize us, when was the last time one person really cared about what you had to say about sports betting, let alone over 1 million? All right. So again, and one step further, after you subscribe, or if you've already subscribed, go to your notification, your settings in YouTube, and hit that notification alert bell. And that'll notify you immediately upon any of our sports betting podcasts going up right here on this channel. All right, Jesse. Notre Dame and Louisville. Notre Dame showed a lot last week. They know it wasn't an overwhelmingly dominant performance by any stretch, but they went into a tough environment against a very good team and come away with a win by 7. And I know a lot of bettors were really ticked off the guys who had Duke because Notre Dame was already in field goal position and could have ran the clock down, and their running back was all the way for a touchdown. And then an excruciating way to end the game for Duke with Riley Leonard going down on the last play of the game. He has a high ankle sprain. He's going to be out for several weeks. But anyway, Jesse, enough about what I saw and what I think about this matchup. It's more about what you think.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was a tough beat for me. I gave out Duke on this show. I had guys on my channel come over to debate me. I felt so strongly about Duke that it was an open invitation, come and debate me why you think Notre Dame's going to cover. And it was a loss for me, but it certainly doesn't feel like I was off on my analysis of Duke. Duke showed me they were exactly who I thought they were. They were competitive. They fought hard. It wasn't easy for Notre Dame. Notre Dame didn't come outclass them and out-athlete them. They got the win late, and a 2-point conversion sealed the ATS win for them. And now Notre Dame has another tough road game in a tough spot. And I don't like this Louisville team as much as I liked Duke. I'm not as certain about Louisville as I was about Duke. I felt like I know this Duke team. I know they're going to be competitive. I can't really say that about Louisville. They're off to a 5-0 start. Strength of schedule is questionable. They got a new coach. They got a new quarterback. So we don't really know who this team is. So I'm taking Louisville, not really because of Louisville, but because of Notre Dame and because of what a tough spot this is. Back-to-back road games, back-to-back emotional finishes in games that went right down to the wire. It's a sandwich game. They got USC at home the following week. So, you come off the college game day against Duke, you go to Louisville, and then the following week you're at home to USC. Really tough situational spot for Notre Dame. And then I was listening to you and Doug, because you're two of the best. Always tune in. And I heard Doug say that, Hartman's got a bit of a reputation for struggling in big games. And it's not a tag that I've labeled Hartman with myself, but I started thinking about it, and I had a look. And in particular, the worst game I've ever seen the kid play was last year at Louisville. 3 interceptions and 3 fumbles, and that happened quite early, and the game was over before it even started. So you've got that history of Hartman. You look at his stats last week, 15 of 30 for 222 yards. Granted, that was against a very tough Duke defense, and also his receiving core was sort of depleted. Kind of expect him to do better here against Louisville, but just given the situation, given how tough it is to win on the road, and when you have that big game coming up the following week, I'll take the points with Louisville plus the 6.5.
There you go. Louisville plus the 6.5 over Notre Dame, and he makes a very strong case. Jesse citing coming off back-to-back really tough games that went down to the wire against nationally ranked opponents, and also back-to-back road games against nationally ranked opponents. Notre Dame showed me a lot of character last week, Sean. Again, they weren't overwhelming. They didn't wow you, and you didn't walk away from that saying, wow, this team is going to win the national championship. But by the same token, you look at their schedule right now. They lose to Ohio State on the last play of the game. If they run the table, and that's their only loss, how do you keep them out of the playoff? I mean, again, they got to beat Louisville on the road. That's not going to be easy. And I do agree with Jesse. I don't think Louisville's as good as their record, but we'll see. Again, it's not a matter of they're not as good as their record, but they might be in a very favorable spot because of what Notre Dame has recently gone through. And also Sam Hartman, yeah, you're right. And you heard my retort to that, right, Jesse? It's the guy hasn't thrown an interception yet this year. And again, Sean, I'm interested to hear your thoughts too on this. I just think that Hartman is playing within himself, guys. I think he knows he's got a good defense. That's something he never had at Wake Forest. He always felt like he had to carry the burden of the load, and using an overused cliche is put the team on his back. And at times he got into hero mode. And I recall him throwing 6 straight interceptions on 6 possessions against North Carolina State a couple of years ago, if not last year. Yeah, because I had North Carolina State in that game. So, but I like the way he's playing. I do. He doesn't have to carry the team. He's got a great running back and a good defense. But anyway, your thoughts on this matchup that you just discussed, and the topic matter of Sam Hartman.
I mean, what's there to add to that? He's got a full team around him as opposed to what he had at Wake Forest. So there's that. I'll tell you, am I going to be involved in this game? No. Would I lean Louisville? Yes. I mean, the line 6.5 says I'm going to take Louisville because everyone's going to say Notre Dame just got to win by a touchdown. It's Notre Dame. They're getting a couple wide receivers back. Where I look at it as what Jesse said, and again, I think us in the business look at it as you're coming off those last second kind of games. USC on deck. This is a game that this could come down to a close battle as well, because we got USC next. Like, you should beat Louisville, right? You're getting your wide receivers back. The defense is very good. That's who you have circled. You're not Louisville circled. You got Notre Dame. You have USC circled at home. So, Louisville would be the only way I look at this game. And as for making the playoffs, I'll tell you what. I don't think Georgia's that good. They're going to lose to somebody. Alabama could have 2 losses after this weekend, and maybe A&M is the undefeated team in the SEC. I mean, you might somebody out of the Pac-12 has to make the playoffs, because I think Oregon and Washington are better than USC. So one of those guys will be undefeated, possibly.
Right, barring at least. Well, look at if they have at least one team with 1 loss, Sean. I think that's a good possibility. Yeah. Well, here's the other thing, guys. You talk about look aheads, okay? Like Sean likes to do, and Jesse does as well. I'm looking ahead to that USC game. I love Notre Dame in that matchup.
I'm
Because USC doesn't stop anybody. They don't
Nope.
stop anybody. Sean, they gave up 42 to Colorado last week. Yeah,
I know.
Colorado's got a good offense. 28 to Arizona State the week before. They're giving up points this year, you know?
I think you're going to rephrase that, Ross.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lincoln Riley doesn't stop anybody. And it's been carried on from Oklahoma to USC, and it's gone on for years. And his teams remain huge favorites, overblown, overvalued, no defense. It always costs them in the end. History repeats itself. We've seen this script before. We know how it ends. Carry on, Russ.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse. Very good point, and a relevant
should be probably
one
better.
at
What, a
that.
pick 'em? What's this game? A pick 'em? Notre Dame -1 next week? What do you think?
Against USC? Let's see what happens this. I think a lot will be, not a lot, but I think when we're talking about a 2-point difference in terms of the line as opposed to what it would be right now is going to be predicated on what happens on Saturday at Louisville. I think if Notre Dame puts up a good showing, they might be a small favorite in that game. You know, if they show a little more of a dominant performance, if they get taken down to the wire again, I agree with you, Sean. Jesse, your thoughts in that regard?
I mean, there's a lot of love for USC, and there has been for years. And Caleb Williams, I mean, I expect USC to be a slight favorite, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. And if that's the case, I like Notre Dame even more. Again, when Jesse says a slight favorite, it's going to be a situation where Notre Dame's going to have to win the game anyway, because it'll be a point and a half.
-1.5 either way or something like that. But
yeah, so
put it this way, regardless of what happens this week, I don't see it influencing it to the point where you see Notre Dame -3, because I just think there'd be so much money flooding in on USC at that point that it would correct it.
But I could see Notre Dame as a pick or -1 to 1.5. I could see that occurring. Now, we'll see. Again, I think what happens on Saturday will dictate whether one team is a slight favorite or the other. And I just think, this just in, Notre Dame's defense is good. Okay. Yeah. And you're going to be facing a good defense with a team that could run the ball and a veteran quarterback that's not making mistakes right now in Sam Hartman. Okay. Say what you will about Sam Hartman. He's playing within himself. And I like their chances in that game. Go ahead, Jess.
One more thing, more incentive for Notre Dame not to rush back those receivers this week for the Louisville game, because you've got, I think, 4 wide receivers that are on the fence, whether they can play or not. And anybody who's anything less than 100%, you might want to hold those guys out for that big, that might be weighing on the coaches' minds, right? Yeah. Thinking that you're going to need them at 100% for USC.
I think it would be a very dangerous thing, though, for Notre Dame to, and it's only human nature to look beyond playing a ranked undefeated team. Now, having said that, I do not think Louisville's as good as their record. I think that Braum has done a great job in his first year at his alma mater, and I think they've overachieved a bit. But having said that, I mean, if Notre Dame was playing Louisville after playing Navy in Tennessee State, it would be a whole different situation. But as Jesse pointed out and Sean brought up too, I mean, they're coming off a, thrilling win last week, a heartbreaking loss the week before that came down to the wire. Anyway, all right, let's get to Sean's game. And interested to hear his take on that. Oklahoma and Texas, 2 undefeated teams. Game will be played in the Cotton Bowl, in Dallas, Texas, which is a neutral site. That's where they play it every year. And right now, Texas, the number 3 team in the country, -6 and 60.5, Sean.
Yeah, we talk about defense and Lincoln Riley in Oklahoma, and here comes Texas, Oklahoma. And I'm going to look at the total here because you look at some of these past totals, 80, 77.5, 74, 75, 66, and then there's a 60.5 out here. I'm going to go over. Now, last year, 49-0, Gabriel didn't play. And I'm not really that high in Oklahoma this year. I'm not a big Venables kind of guy. But the kid has been fantastic. What's he got? Like 15, 20 touchdown passes. I mean, completion percentage through the roof. And when you look at the history of these guys, it's tough to do this because Oklahoma was like double-digit favorites for basically half the decade, like big favorites over Texas when they were struggling. And now you have a total kind of flip of the line here with Texas as the favorite. And again, that's justified. It's gone up a little bit. Whatever to that. Let's just look at I got two quarterbacks here in Ewers and Gabriel who put up excellent numbers. I got defenses that have historically not been very good. I mean, forget about just facing each other in some wild shootouts, but even against other teams, they're allowing 30 points here, 40 points there, not just this year, but as a program. You know, we mentioned Lincoln Riley at USC with no defense. These teams, when is the last time these defenses have ever been like, wow, here comes that Texas defense? I mean, when? I got to go back to maybe like Mike Huff back in like 2006. Give me the over here. And it's ticked up. Yesterday, this was a 59.5. Now it's gone up a whole point. It was 59.5. Now it's at the 60.5. I think it'll continue going up. Gabriel looks, I mean, again.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you say about it, kid? Like,
he's like the reincarnation of Jim Zorn is what he reminds me of.
And I had him the other week against Cincinnati. They didn't end up covering, but I'm like, man, he just seems like it's like he's like just on the street with his friends, just goes back. Doesn't seem like he's it's just, man, I would say like poetry in motion. I'm not an Oklahoma guy, but man, he looks really good. I'm going to go over to 60.5 here.
Yeah. Again, he reminds me of Jim Zorn. Probably can't break a piece of glass from on a throw of 20 yards, but he's so accurate and he's smart and he makes good reads and he gets it done. And Quinn Ewers, what can you say? I mean, the kid's playing at an elite level right now. One thing I will disagree with you, Sean, is I think this is Texas's best defense they've had in quite some time. And the numbers will bear that out.
What's that saying, Ross? That's not saying a lot considering their defense.
No, you're correct. You're correct. Okay, but it's not the Texas type defense where the offense knew that they had to score 30 to 40 points to win the game. Yeah. So, Jesse, your take.
I'm surprised that you guys both talk about this game and nobody brought up the R word. Revenge, the revenge spot for the 49-0. And I think it's good that you didn't, because I think revenge angles are overrated a lot of the time. One of the most commonly overrated gambling angles. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I like to stack up evidence, and a revenge angle, when used correctly, can be a good tool in my repertoire. But if the only factor you're basing your revenge on is they got killed last time they played, that's not good enough for me. You have to find out why they lost. Yeah. You have to make a case of why they shouldn't have lost by that many points. And in this case, it was that Gabriel didn't play in the last game, but it goes well beyond that. I mean, Texas was 49-0 better. Oklahoma's defense had no hope of stopping them. Is Gabriel going to make a 49-point difference? I don't think so. I think this line's a little short with Texas, and I think there's going to be a lot of people expecting Oklahoma in this revenge spot, and I don't think it's going to be 49-0, but I'd be surprised if it's within single digits.
Yeah, I had Texas last week against Kansas. I laid the 16 points. But let's keep it in mind, Kansas was without their starting quarterback, which made a difference. But Texas looked impressive in that game. I mean, again, look at their top two running backs from a season ago, Bijan Robinson, and I can't recall the other kid's name. They're both playing on Sunday now, and both playing effectively. So
the guys that got replaced them look like they'll be playing on Sunday too, though.
Absolutely. Yep. So you're exactly correct. What I saw last week, that's a complete Texas team. We'll see, because again, I'm looking at the early numbers here, guys, and overwhelming support from the public going the way of Texas, not only in the volume of bets, but the volume of money going that way, somewhere in the 80 percentile on both ends. And that line hasn't really moved much, if at all, since the opener. And I don't like
That's a 4.5
taking
on the opener,
public
by the way, Ross.
Was it a 4.5? Okay.
4.5.
So it did move. I mean, so that's predicated. I would say that's not a sharp move. That's a public move. Because when you see that overwhelming numbers, I'd be more in tune to say it's a sharp move if Texas was getting maybe 40% of the action on both the money and the volume of the money and the volume of bets, and the line moved a 1.5. But this, to me, is just money oriented. So anyway, let me get to my game. Syracuse at North Carolina State. North Carolina, excuse me. The Tar Heels are an 8.5-point favorite. The total in this game is 59.5. Syracuse coming off a really disappointing performance. I know we talked about it last week. We all thought that Syracuse not only would cover, but it would have an excellent opportunity to win against Clemson, but they really didn't compete. They didn't get blown out of the water, but it was never a game that you felt like Clemson was threatened. Syracuse loses the game 31-14 at home against the Tigers. And, you know, under Dino Babers, I'm a big Orange fan. They've been less than resilient after a loss. And it seems like they get off to these good starts, and then once they suffer a loss, whether it be a close one or the nature of which they did last week, it's really tough for them to recover. And that, to me, goes to the coaching staff. And you look at, since 2020 under Babers, Syracuse is 0-6 straight up in ATS as a dog of 12.5 or less, or a dog of 8.5 in this game right now, following a straight up loss by 12 points or more. Which they lost by 17 last week, and they lose those 6 games by 17 points per game. North Carolina coming off a 41-24 win at Pittsburgh, in which they covered easily as a 7-point away favorite. Now, Pittsburgh is not the Pittsburgh that we're used to seeing in recent seasons, but still, it's an impressive road win. And on top of that, the Tar Heels didn't have to play last week, so they come off a bye week, playing at home. They played the stronger strength of schedule to this point. I know that Syracuse played Clemson, but if you look at how they got off to that 4-0 start, none of those teams that they beat, I mean, Army has a winning record, but Army's not, you know, I wouldn't put them in the who's who of college football right now. And they beat Purdue on the road, and Purdue has a losing record right now, even though they're coming off a nice win. But the stronger strength of schedule for North Carolina, week off. Syracuse's lack of resiliency after a loss under Babers, especially as an underdog and a decisive loss. And you look at Syracuse right now, and I know Jesse likes looking at this stuff. They're without their starting tight end, Arondé Gadsden. He's been out for a while. Now he's out for the season. They're without a starting wide receiver. They're without another one is questionable in Pena, who's an excellent return guy and a guy who's a slot receiver. So I'm going to go with North Carolina here over my beloved Orange. North Carolina minus 8.5 over Syracuse. Don't love the game, but since it's been assigned, I have to come up with a pick, and that's the most logical one I could use in this game. Jesse?
I agree. I don't love North Carolina, but it is a tough spot for the Orange. You think Dream Crusher, the bubble burst, their confidence took a big hit last week, and I think it's tough to pick up the pieces here on the road, and I wouldn't be surprised if they lose this game by double digits. So I'm in agreement with your pick.
All right, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Babers, his ATS as the season progresses. Maybe that's because they have cupcakes early, and then all of a sudden they face real kind of football programs. And NC's, Sam Howell, they have some quarterbacks. These guys have put out guys who could put the points on the board. So I lean NC as well here. Good rested spot, and the Syracuse is facing a step-up competition. So I'll lay the 8.5.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Drake May for North Carolina, good one. Projected number 1 draft choice right now. So to Sean's point. All right, so reviewing again, we're going to go Texas, Oklahoma over 60.5 from Sean Higgs. We're going to go Louisville plus the 6.5 over Notre Dame for Jesse Schule. And Ross Benjamin, yours truly, we're going to go North Carolina minus 8.5 over Syracuse. All right, time for us to wind down. Jesse, tell the folks what you got going on this week. Major League Baseball playoffs coming up. by the way, Major League Baseball postseason package up for all of us at gamblersworld.net right now, $199, folks. If you don't make a profit on this package, we're going to give you $199 credit. Okay, so some pretty good Major League Baseball handicappers at the site. But Jesse, take it away.
I do have one play on a wild card game today, and despite the fact that I didn't have a great baseball season, that doesn't mean I'm not going to light it up in the postseason, and that's exactly what I plan to do. I did mention that I suffered a setback on Saturday, despite coming off back-to-back sweeps the previous 2 Saturdays. Still perfect with sides in college football. I've got one up already posted, and there will be more added a little bit later on. So, and coming off 5-1 with NFL the last 2 Sundays, so starting to tick upwards in the pros as well. And yeah, let's make some money in October.
Yeah, good time to do so. And Sean, tell the folks what you got going on, my friend.
Yeah, baseball for today on Tuesday, loaded up packages on the site. I split out Saturday college football, 8-1 in NFL on Sunday. And that's that. We got baseball players, but you know me, football. I love my October. It's October now, October football. Let's go. Keep it rolling in the NFL.
Very good. So Sean Higgs and Jesse Schule, both at gamblersworld.net. Don't forget, both of them $199 for their MLB postseason package. Don't forget Sean, 64% last year in the NFL, coming off an 8-1 Sunday. And you can get his NFL package, annual package right now through the Super Bowl for $5.99. And Jesse, I tell you right now, folks, he had a losing Saturday in college football. Watch out this Saturday, my friends. The guy comes, he's not like Syracuse. He's resilient. Okay, so I'm going to be looking at a full slate of games this week. Boy, oh boy, another winning week. Thank God. Been blessed over the last 2 months, guys. 8-4 combination NFL college football last week, 4-2 in each individual sport. In baseball, by the way, folks, 46-24 is my baseball record since August the 4th. And again, that MLB postseason package up for $199 right now with the guarantee. College football over the last 3 weeks, 16-3. Things are just rolling. And going back to December 2nd of last year, college football run of 39-16, which is good for 71%. And again, all sports on a 38-13 run since September 12th and 87-49 run since August the 4th. Not bad for a guy living in the 90s, right, Sean? So anyway, I had to throw that in because he breaks my hump all the time. Anyway, love you guys. And until the next time, for Sean Higgs, Jesse Schule, and Ross Benjamin, I will be back later today with Paul Bovey and Chip Chirimbus, by the way. 6,000 views last week for our video last Tuesday afternoon. So doing something right with all those old timers. You want to check us out then. And then these 2 gentlemen will be back with me in the morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Don't forget about our live show on Friday, new time slot. Make note of it, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Trying to accommodate you folks on the West Coast. You'll have the opportunity to chime in with all your questions and comments, and we'll get to as many as we could, time permitting. Take care and God bless, folks.